I felt my face contracting this way in a maniacal rage.
What's in your mind at that point?
The same thing that was already in my mind, do it.
Do it?
Yeah.
It was a shocking case of teenage rage.
It's a story making national headlines.
Mom was killed first, then Dad.
This picture of Tyler Hadley taken at a party hours after he allegedly beat his mom and dad to death with a hammer.
A 17-year-old who killed his parents with a hammer and then hosted a raging house party.
I saw bloody sheets piled everywhere. I saw broken pictures with blood on them.
He's like, look. So I looked and I said, right there. I'm like, I'm out of here.
The crime stunned parents across the country. And it all started when a dangerous idea occupied the adolescent mind of Tyler Hadley. Your mom took 36, 37 blows.
Yeah, I guess so. I remember my dad running out.
You hit him. He asked, why are you doing this?
And I said, why not? And then I said, why not? There was blood all over the place. And I laughed at myself in the mirror. And I went about my business of just having a party.
All across America, parents try to make sense of their kids. We take pride in them, we worry about them, and in their teenage years, things happen that make us ask ourselves, what could they possibly be thinking? Today, I'm in Florida to answer an extreme version of that age-old question.
We're getting an anonymous tip from a crime line in Orlando. The anonymous tip advised that he killed both of his parents last night at 5 p.m. He used the back of a hammer and that they can be found in bed at this location.
On July 16, 2011, in Port St. Lucie, Florida, a teenager placed a late-night tip to a local crime hotline. His friend, Tyler Hadley, had just thrown an epic party, and during the unruly bash, Hadley's parents, Blake and Mary Jo, lay dead in the bedroom. Hadley had murdered them just hours before. The media called it Tyler Hadley's killer party.
Tyler Hadley used a hammer to kill his parents, then throw a party.
He does face life in prison if convicted for murdering his parents.
Hadley was just 17 years old when he killed his parents and invited more than 60 classmates to drink, smoke, and party just a few feet from the bodies.
It's probably the biggest party I've been to this year.
Dude, I know you're not gonna believe me. No one will believe me. I freaking killed somebody. I went by his parents' room, I saw splatter.
A community was rocked. A family was torn apart. And a national conversation started about the dark reaches of the teenage brain. People on the internet are still talking about it years later.
Tyler Hadley.
Tyler Hadley.
Tyler Hadley.
A parade of mental health experts evaluated Tyler after the murders. But he was an enigma to them all, just as he had been to the numerous doctors and therapists that treated him throughout his childhood.
Not a single day goes by that I don't think about my parents or my whole family.
Hadley was convicted and sentenced.
It is hereby the judgment and sentence of the court that as to both counts 1 and 2, the defendant be sentenced to life.
13 years later, the question remains that his parents started asking when he was a small boy years before the murders. What's wrong with Tyler? The answer may lie in Florida, just north of the Gulf, where Tyler Hadley, now a 30-year-old man, says he's finally ready to talk for the first time about the crime and what he thinks drove his teenage brain to murder.
Tyler, we're here today because we're trying to understand the mindset and motivations behind your actions. The adolescent mind, if you will, is notoriously unpredictable, especially for boys.
So they say.
Right? Unpredictable, impulsive. At 30, what does your 30-year-old brain think about your adolescent brain? What's he thinking? What's he doing?
All he was trying to do was con and manipulate. There was really no need for any of that. Being an adolescent, okay, yeah, I understand you're immature and all that, okay, but it's just, I can't even explain it.
Still a mystery to you?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't even sit here and begin to explain that.
There have been many accounts of your childhood, but none from you yourself. So tell me, how would you describe your childhood?
It was what any kid would ever imagine would be an ideal childhood.
Two loving parents who both had careers. You had one sibling, right? An older brother. It sounds like you guys were close.
Yeah.
You had grandparents nearby, aunts, uncles, cousins. You had a lot more love in your life than many people start out with. But it looks like you had mental health struggles.
Yeah.
And I'm just pulling all of this out of the case record and the public record. One doctor noted hopelessness, helplessness, worthlessness. Is that how you felt?
I did feel that way, yeah. I feel like I wasn't really going anywhere, you know?
Were you having that dialogue, the internal dialogue that I'm worthless, I hate myself?
I think it was embedded in my mind ever since I was a little kid with that.
Of your own creation, like nobody put it on you?
No. And I don't even know where that came from. That started when I was like third grade, second grade.
Throughout your childhood, I counted 3 psychiatrists, all trying to figure out what's wrong with Tyler.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
It was normal to me.
Was it hard on you to go through diagnosis after diagnosis?
No, I just didn't know what to do when I sat in front of those psychiatrists and all that. I never had any effective treatment as far as that, me talking to them. Though that was on my part too. I didn't what do you say?
Engage.
I didn't engage at all.
Depressive disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, social phobia, disruptive disorder, conduct disorder, bulimia, hypothyroidism, acne. I imagine for a young child, it could have been very confusing.
I didn't really think about it. Because I never heard those terms. They never spoke those terms to me. From when I was 9, I didn't know what to do. And they just gave me medication.
Can you even remember all of them?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I remember that. I remember all of them. Lexapro was the first psychotropic antidepressant I was ever on. Oh, and Adderall was the first one. Adderall. Those first two were the same with that simultaneously.
Right. You were on SSRIs.
Yep.
You were on thyroid replacement therapy, growth hormones, Zoloft, Celexa, Visatril. That's a lot.
Visatril, yeah.
That's a lot of drugs.
Celexa and Visatril were at the same time. Zoloft and Adderall, when I was 16 again, they put me on Adderall again.
Any of that help you in any way?
No.
Did it make things worse in some way?
I don't know if it made it worse, but it
wasn't working.
When Tyler Hadley hit his late teen years, his parents had no clue just how dangerous he had become, or what the troubled 17-year-old would do next.
I see 7 references to statements you made to friends about killing your parents. If you kill my mom, I'll give you my Lincoln.
Yeah.
They thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too until I just started thinking.
Okay, this is one of the last pictures that we have of Blake and Tyler together. Probably 4 days after this picture was taken, Blake and Mary Jo were gone.
Michael Hadley is Tyler Hadley's uncle and part of a close extended family blindsided when his 17-year-old nephew bludgeoned his brother and sister-in-law to death in 2011.
I miss those days. They were like a model family. Tyler was just, he was like his dad was when his dad was young. He was just a little clown, always goofing around. But as he grew older, he started to change a little bit. Once he got up to the age of high school, you know, it's like some of these kids, they start hanging around with the wrong crowd, and next thing you know, he's getting in a little bit of trouble.
As Tyler turned into a teenager, his mood darkened and his parents despaired.
In high school, socially, you gravitated to the proverbial wrong crowd.
I think that they gravitated towards me.
How so?
It's because everybody says I went to the wrong crowd, but I think I was the wrong crowd.
Oh, you were the wrong crowd. Your parents, he said, we caught him drinking, smoking, stealing, you were lying.
Yeah, I was doing all that.
Sneaking out. Yeah. Can't trust him, they said. Taking their debit cards, finding drug paraphernalia. He won't tell us anything, they said. He denies everything.
Yeah.
We don't know his friends. He's losing weight.
Yep. Well, the weight was from the Adderall.
He said, we caught him throwing up, but he denies it.
Mm-hmm.
And he said something about wanting to die.
Yes. That's all true. All that is true.
Your parents clearly picked up on it, right? They were trying everything they could to get you help.
Yeah.
You couldn't talk to them?
I could have.
You could have, but young Tyler.
Yeah, he didn't.
Didn't?
No.
How would you describe your parents?
Saints.
Saints?
Yeah.
Really? Why do you say that?
Because they were. There ain't no other word for them.
Always there for you?
Yeah. Even when I was acting a fool, acting out, being an idiot. Yeah. At the time, I didn't appreciate it.
And no one appreciated just how deranged Tyler Hadley had become.
Just before he committed his attack, Blake gets a phone call from his boss. You're getting a raise, and you're no longer going to be on nights. You're going to have a standard shift of daytime only. And oh, he was so happy. You know what he told me? He says, Mike, now I get more time to spend with Ty. That's what he called Tyler. I get more time to spend with him. He was so excited about that. And Tyler, he loved his mother. Even as a teenager, he'd sit on her lap, you know, and laugh with her and cut up with her. It's just inconceivable to try to even understand what can go wrong, you know, with a human mind.
It sounded like things went from bad to worse and put a real strain on your relationship with your parents. They took you to 2 different mental health substance abuse programs in the spring before the murders. It sounds like things were out of control. Were you afraid that they were going to institutionalize you?
Oh, I knew they were.
You knew they were?
Yeah, it was in my mind. I think I wanted them to.
Huh. And yet you resisted it. Why wouldn't you want the help?
Because I wanted to keep on doing what I was doing.
Is it possible that your anger towards them for imposing, you know, help on you, treatment on you, that became the kind of target of your rage?
I think so.
The Hadleys would punish Tyler for his destructive behavior, frequently grounding him and taking away his phone. At one point, they proposed checking him into a mental hospital for inpatient treatment, while he lashed out with violent threats disguised as sick humor.
I see 7 references to statements you made to friends about killing your parents. They were brutal statements.
Yeah, it was. It just...
You would say things like, if you kill my mom, I'll give you my Lincoln.
Yeah. I said that on a Facebook chat.
She took your phone away once. You said, I might kill her.
That was a year before.
Who talks like that, even to your friends, even joking?
I mean, what kind of kid doesn't call their mom? I mean, with their friends, like, oh, my mom grounded me, you know, she's being a... I said she took my phone. Or I mean, she's a, you know, I didn't.
Hadley says the idea to kill his parents started as dark banter with his friends and then took root in his mind.
They thought it was a joke.
I thought it was a joke too until I just started thinking.
Do you remember the first time you had that thought?
Sitting at my friend Marky's house, drinking a bunch of beer and smoking weed. And yeah, that's the first time I ever had it. That was when I first started having the thing about the joke. That was when we first started joking about it. And then privately, I would sit there and think about it.
Is it possible that it became the sort of symbol of all that was wrong in your life, in your mind?
Yeah, I think I latched onto it and just didn't let go of it.
Hadley was no longer joking.
July 15th, you're out for a family dinner. Sounds like it went well. You make a point of telling your grandma and your grandpa you love them before you leave that night. And that night, you stood over your parents with the garden shears.
Yeah.
Right? What's in your mind then?
The same thing that was in my mind the rest of the month. Just get it out of my head, and if I relieve myself of it, then it'll be done.
Get rid of them. And with them, the pressure?
So I was just losing it. I couldn't get out of my head. I couldn't stop.
That night, Hadley did stop himself, but not for long.
Did you change your mind or just the plan?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the thoughts didn't go away.
It was that night that you told your friend your parents might be going out of town. Is that the moment that the plan took shape?
I believe so.
This was 2 days before.
I think it was in the back of my mind.
Tell me what happened that day, July 16th. The planning started early in the day, right? Can you walk me through?
After a troubled childhood, teenager Tyler Hadley spent almost a year joking with his friends about killing his parents. On July 16, 2011, he finally did it.
Tell me what happened that day, July 16th.
Woke up around 9:30 maybe, 9:10.
Did you know this would be the day?
No.
Pretty early on in the day, you're communicating with your friends. You put the word out about the party. What's in your mind then?
I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was losing my mind. I couldn't get it out of my head. I could not rest until I just get those thoughts out of my head.
And the only way to get them out was to do it.
Yeah.
Tyler Hadley held an oversized claw hammer and approached his mother from behind as she sat at a desk.
July 16th, you, by your own account, you stood behind your mother for 5 minutes. That's what you told somebody.
I did tell them, but I think it was more 20 seconds.
Felt like 5 minutes.
Might have felt like 5 minutes.
With the hammer.
Yeah.
And you struck her from behind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She asked you why. You remember that?
Yep.
Did she face you at that point?
I don't remember. I don't know. I don't know if she was facing me or if she looked back or what.
Do you remember her asking you why, Tyler?
Yeah.
You kept swinging.
Yeah.
She's screaming.
Yep.
You remember blood everywhere?
Yep.
Do you remember what adolescent Tyler was thinking at that moment?
No.
Is he just in the red zone?
Yeah. I felt my face contracting this way in a maniacal rage. I can't even contort my muscles like that and just attempt it. I can't even sit here and try to do that. But I felt my mouth this way.
So your mom took 36, 37 blows, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
What else do you remember?
my dad running out.
In the commotion, your dad came out?
Yeah.
You described a stare down.
Maybe for a couple seconds.
Couple seconds.
Maybe a second. And I must have ran really fast because I got right to him.
What's in your mind at that point?
The same thing that was already in my mind, do it.
Do it?
Yeah.
You hit him. He also asked, why are you doing this?
And I said, why not?
You said, why not?
And then I said, why not? And I just kept going.
Kept swinging.
Yep.
Is he defending himself? Is he resisting?
Yeah.
Forensics suggests that they were alive through most of the attack.
Yeah.
One point in the record, you said that they did not resist, and that's when you realized how much they loved you. Because they didn't even defend themselves. You remember that?
I don't recall saying that verbatim, but I remember somebody saying that I said that.
Okay. Do you remember them screaming for their lives?
Yeah.
None of that could snap you out of it?
It's blurry. It's blurry as time goes on, but yeah. But sitting here talking about it makes me recollect it, yes.
You described it as a blind rage coming out.
Yeah.
You said, I was covered in blood, I was detached. I went into this sort of psychotic state or trance.
Yep. Yeah.
I had some sense of finality that it was over. All that compulsive thinking was just gone.
Sounds about right. And then I looked in the mirror and I laughed.
Tell me about that.
I went in my bathroom mirror and I was covered in blood. Everywhere, my whole, everything. There was blood all over the place. And I laughed at myself in the mirror.
Why?
I don't know.
It's hard to imagine you thought it was funny.
I don't think it was a funny laugh.
Not
It's more of a deranged laugh, more of a, I guess that is a little bit, well, I guess it's a little bit deranged, yeah.
And what's your state of mind in the immediate aftermath? It sounds like almost like there's a sense of relief that it's over.
Relief, but mechanical.
What do you mean?
Robotic. Just, I went, cleaned it, you know.
That must have taken hours.
I don't know how long it took. It had to take at least 2 hours. I threw everything inside the house, and everything I piled up in that one room.
Why?
I don't know. I was just ashamed. I couldn't look at anything. I couldn't bear to look at it.
You felt shame at that point?
I felt a little shame, yeah.
A little
in the back of my mind, yes.
A little?
It was starting to come. I mean, yeah, of course I felt shame, but I was keeping it down.
I see.
And I was terrified. I was petrified. I felt a petrifying angst, dread within the pit of my stomach, knowing that what lurks beyond that door.
What you did?
Yeah. And I just suppressed it. And I threw everything in there. And I went about my business of just having a party.
When Tyler Hadley was 17 years old, he inexplicably murdered his parents with a hammer. And then he threw a party.
I think it's hard for people to understand the level of forethought and planning, what in legal terms, yes, is considered premeditation, but also the celebration, the fact that you partied that night. Can you account for that?
No.
What do you think young Tyler was thinking?
I think he wanted one last blowout before he ends it.
Before he ends his own life.
Yep.
Was suicide part of the plan?
Yeah.
It was.
I was gonna back the car up in the garage and kill myself by carbon monoxide poisoning.
With his parents' blood still on his hands, Hadley texted friends announcing that his parents were out of town and the party was at his house.
I mean, I remember talking to somebody, called me, right? I was telling them directions, and I'm covered in blood. And I'm just like, yeah, come on, it's gonna, I'm just sounding normal. And
nothing could snap you out of...
It was already over with.
What did you think was gonna happen next?
I had no thought that I would get arrested.
Really?
Not at all.
Once word got out that there was a house without supervision, teenagers from all over Port St. Lucie flocked to his place. Hadley drank, smoked, and took selfies while the dead bodies of Blake and Mary Jo were just a few feet away.
During the party and after the party, there was rumor that perhaps that Tyler may have killed his parents.
You could barely walk through the house. There were so many people.
How long have you known Tyler?
I want to say about 2 years.
Tyler came and sat down. He just looked so lost and had this blank stare on his face.
Like, dude, I know you're not going to believe me. No one will believe me. I freaking killed somebody.
I was like, why do you have to go? And he was like, Tyler's parents are dead. And I was like, stop playing with me right now. And he was just like, no, I'm not playing, sorry.
Some complained of an odd smell. Some saw blood in the house. One saw much worse.
He opens the back door just a little bit. He's like, do you see that? And there's a leg. I'm freaking out.
The scene painted a dark portrait of the teenagers in this small Florida town.
And he said to me, wouldn't it be cool if I killed my parents and had a party? And everybody thought the kid was just playing.
Over the course of the night, Tyler bluntly confessed to his friend what he had done.
After he told me, I didn't believe him because he's been my best friend forever. I would never suspect anything like this. And I was looking around. He told me if I look at enough, I can see signs. I looked on the floor, I could see signs of blood. And that's when I went around back and looked in his parents' bedroom.
Hours later, that boy and another friend called the police.
I had no thought that Michael would report me, nothing. That wasn't even a part of my mind. I wasn't even thinking about it.
A few hours after that, on July 17, 2011, Tyler Hadley was arrested.
Your name is Tyler? Okay. You had a party last night. I'm going to read you your Miranda rights. Are you familiar with those? The first one is you have the right to remain silent.
I get this phone call. I answer my phone, and it's my dad. The only words he said was, Mike, Blake, and Mary Jo are dead. And I just almost dropped to my knees. I said, oh my God. My daughter's husband was able to drive us to Stewart, to Mom and Dad's, where everybody was meeting with the detectives and the police and all that. That's when we found out what had happened. What kind of a human being can do that? I don't. I'm sorry, who can do that to their mother? I can't understand it. I just can't. Even today, 13 years later, it still upsets me. Excuse me. The next day, I went over there. The yard was completely trashed with whiskey bottles, beer bottles. They just trashed the heck out of it. I've thought about it a million times. What would I say to that boy? Why? Why in the world? You loved your parents. Was it worth it? Was it worth destroying your parents? Punishing them? Torturing them? Butchering them up? Was that fun? Teenagers, young 16, 17-year-old children do some horrific things.
I was the first expert to evaluate Tyler, and that would have been about 5 months after the killing.
Dr. Kathleen Heide is the country's leading expert on parricide, the murder of parents by their children. She was hired by Tyler Hadley's defense to make sense of his shocking crime.
As I recall, he was still 17. And Tyler was very, very immature relative to other 17-year-olds. He was at a level of a younger child where you try to figure out how you get your needs met from big people, like adults. It's fine when you're 3, 5, 7, 10 years old. Not good when you're 17. For parents who are saying, could this be my son or daughter? What I think is important to know that what happened here with Tyler is a very, very, very rare event. But when mental health professionals get involved, that's the driving question. Why? Why would a kid from a good family with loving parents kill them?
That question would dominate the criminal case and decide Tyler Hadley's fate.
There's basically a debate whether Tyler is sick and treatable or irredeemably mad and or bad.
Irredeemably corrupted.
Which do you think you are?
A legal controversy swirled around the case of 17-year-old Tyler Hadley. He was charged as an adult because of the depravity of his crime. But the question remained as to how he should be sentenced.
Right now, the sentencing hearing for Tyler Hadley is going on.
This was the result of a severely mentally ill child.
He is done. No jury in the world would buy the insanity defense in this case.
The state looking for the judge to issue the maximum penalty of 2 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole.
After his arrest, several mental health professionals examined Tyler for the court, prosecution, and the defense. Hadley's lawyer hired the country's leading expert on children who killed their parents, Dr. Tyler Hadley.
The very first book I wrote was called Why Kids Kill Parents, and I would estimate that I've evaluated probably about 150 individuals who've committed murder. Most of them have been juveniles. I saw Tyler on 6 occasions over the course of about 2.5 years. Tyler's case is probably among a handful of cases that really stand out as so perplexing and complicated. But we have to know why people commit crimes to stop it.
In the weeks after the crime, it's believed Hadley embellished and lied during his sessions with Dr. Hadley and the other psychiatrists. It's known as malingering.
There's a long record of you trying to manipulate the forensic doctors, right?
Yep.
You, for example, told doctors you were hearing, you heard voices, you saw apparitions.
Of course.
Right? Was that malingering?
Hell yes, yeah, of course it is. And at the time, I shouldn't have done that, but I didn't know what else to do at the time.
What was the point of it?
I was 17 years old. I was in a whole load of trouble. The only thing conceivable to me was, well, try to get an insanity defense and try to make it a little less hurtful on yourself.
It wasn't about atoning or remorse or any of that. Your mind goes to, how do I lessen the consequences?
I still felt remorse, though.
You did?
Of course I did. Not just for myself. I didn't just sit there and just be like, oh, I'm so, of course I felt bad for it. Of course I didn't.
But do you see that it's hard to see that past all the conniving?
Of course.
All the lies and the lingering.
What do I expect? I don't expect nothing less. I don't expect them to believe me anyways. They're not going to, no matter what I say.
With Tyler, the defendant at times did not tell the truth. But as a mental health professional or a forensic evaluator, you don't want to rely exclusively on what the defendant tells you, because the defendant who's facing murder charges may lie to you and has good reason to, from the standpoint that he or she is facing very serious consequences if convicted.
As part of her evaluation, Dr. Hadley interviewed Hadley's friends and family to come to a conclusion about his state of mind.
When the police cars are all pulled up after the homicides, and the neighbors, their thought was, oh my God, Tyler committed suicide. They didn't think that Tyler could have killed his parents. Tyler is a very disturbed individual with a history, unquestionably, of severe depression, and that's very important. because he also has a history of obsessive thinking. The catathymic crisis could clearly apply in this case.
Catathymic crisis is a rare condition and was the leading theory in Hadley's case.
Let me read you the definition. A change in thinking whereby the offender believes he can resolve inner conflict by committing an act of extreme violence against someone to whom he feels emotionally bonded.
Okay, and that's an actual definition?
Yeah.
Wow.
Does that sound like it rings true?
That's what it sounds like. Kind of hits it on the head. I mean, no point. Yeah, that's what it sounds like, yes.
I diagnosed him as having conduct disorder. Conduct disorder is a pattern, a persistent pattern of violating the rights of others, and it includes criminal acts. It can also involve staying out all night, truant. It can progress to APD, antisocial personality disorder. So we've got an immature adolescent who he doesn't fit in. He's got these deprecating thoughts. He's basically like tortured by himself. Doesn't talk to his parents. He doesn't talk to the counselors. He tells his friends. They think it's a joke. It's just all adding up. We're just piling on one thing on top of another.
There was a special hearing to decide the 17-year-old's fate. Dr. Heidi, as well as others, testified in court to help decide if Hadley's age or mental health issues should lessen his punishment. Michael Hadley attended every day.
I did not see Tyler prior to the sentencing hearing. That was rough because that's when we found out things that we did not know about. There was a lot of testimonies by his friends, the things that he would do, the crazy things. I mean, it went on and on. There were a lot of things that we were unaware of. But what really was the most shocking part to me was that he had committed previous crimes. We didn't know anything about that.
Michael called on the court to lock his nephew up forever.
You know, I had a reporter ask me one time, what would you do if he got out? Would you take him in and come live with you? I looked at him in the face and I said, would you want him to live with you?
The whole case turned on whether or not Tyler Hadley was capable of rehabilitation.
I'd like to direct this to my entire family. Can apologize and make amends for the horrible acts I've done.
There's basically a debate over your mental health, right? And the conviction and the sentence came down to whether Tyler is sick and treatable or irredeemably mad and or bad.
Irredeemably corrupted.
Which do you think you are?
I think I am treatable, but not worthy of the redemption of the opportunity. Yeah, I'm treatable, but I don't think I deserve it. I don't deserve the
opportunity, the chance?
No.
The second chance?
No.
Juveniles can change. Most juveniles, with the exception of few, are able to change, are redeemable, can be rehabilitated. So the two constructs that to me are the most important are, does the offender take accountability for his behavior, and does the offender feel genuine remorse? And I saw indications over time in both of those. With respect to Tyler.
But in the case of Tyler Hadley, the judge disagreed and decided that Hadley should be sentenced as an adult to life in prison.
It is hereby the judgment and sentence of the court that as to both counts 1 and 2, the defendant be sentenced to life.
I do believe justice is served. I don't think he's ever going to get out of prison because that's where he belongs. You can't let him out in society. As much as I hate to say it. I wake up almost every morning and I'll look outside and I think, golly, I could see my brother throwing that football out there in our big yard out there with me. You know, I mean, everywhere we go, every time we do something, it reminds us of my brother and Mary Jo and the kids. You're constantly being reminded of it. So you never get rid of it, but you just learn how to deal with it.
After all those psychiatrists and forensic doctors that examine you, Tyler, why do you think you killed your parents in the end?
I don't know.
Still don't?
I can't. I think it was to stop all of our pain.
To stop your pain?
All of our pain.
Theirs and yours?
Yeah. And other than that, I can't even sit here and answer that with any clarity, with any reasonable guess. I can't. It's still not clear to me. There was that one thought that just, man, it just kept on going. And if I didn't have that thought, then I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now.
That one thought?
Yeah.
You're trapped in it?
Yeah.
Is it gone for good?
Yeah.
Have you had any other?
No. Like other violent ideations?
Yeah.
No.
Never?
No.
Do you still hate yourself?
Yeah, I do. I really do. It's different though.
It's different?
Yeah.
How so?
Because all that was superficial when I was a kid, and now I actually have a reason to.
Now you have a reason to?
I really have a reason to now.
As a kid, you didn't have a reason to, but now you do.
Now I do, yeah. I definitely do.
You take full responsibility?
I do. Yeah.
When you were young, your 3 wishes were 1, to get out of jail, 2, have this whole thing go away and have your parents back, and 3, have a lot of money. In that order.
Yeah, that was 17-year-old Tyler saying that.
What are your 3 wishes now?
Got 1 wish.
You got 1 wish?
Got 1 wish.
What's that?
I wish I can go back in time and just not do all this harm.
No, nobody in this world loves you like your parents, all of us, right?
Right.
If you had killed anyone else, it would be your parents visiting you every week. And
of course.
You know that, right?
Yeah, of course.
But you got rid of those people.
Yep.
Do you miss them?
Yeah.
You do? You love them?
Yeah. But it doesn't wash away all that, you know, no matter what I do.
Thank you for your time.
Is it? All right.
Thank you.
And with that, my time with Tyler Hadley was up. I was the latest in a long line of people who've tried to make sense of this extraordinary crime and the boy behind it. But I found a man just as mystified by his teenage self and how he let a thought that started as a joke annihilate his family. And that thought would remain with me for a long time.